And welcome back to Tales from the Service Industry. I'm Bill. I'm joined this evening with Miss B and new guest joining us tonight, Mike.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you for being here. Traditionally, with a new guest, we'd like to ask for a little introduction. If you could walk us through some of your career highlights, we'd appreciate it.
Be my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys. Just want to introduce myself. It's Mike. Started the industry back in 99, 2000. I have been doing this for almost 23 plus years. Been to about 7 different franchise companies and 12 hotels.
Wow. Seasoned vet.
It's quite the assortment.
Mostly all flags.
Nice.
Happy to bring tales, if you will, from all those experiences, because I believe the hospitality industry is just unlike any other about what we experience on a daily basis.
Well, that's
True that.
That's exactly why we're here. That's the genesis of this. So glad you brought your stories.
Always, sir.
A-hole of the week. Do you got one?
Jumping right in.
Let's jump.
All right, I'll take it from there. A-hole of the week. The hotel I'm currently at, gentleman comes down. He's pretty much not sold on the hotel rate. He thinks that it should be $100, and he booked it at $594 plus tax, which comes out to be about $620. So we're nowhere near the expectation to which was actually charged. Company booked the reservation, but he basically alerted that he's going to book it and just assume that we're going to change the rate, is what he told me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Presumptuous.
Yeah, presumptuous. It's like you're going to JCPenney and be like, I love that sweater, but I'm only paying $100. We're pretty much the industry that still believes in bargaining.
Oh, my God. I cannot stand when guests do that. And it's like, it should be this much, but it's not.
After carefully explaining the elements of revenue and who we had in house that's governed the rates, blah, 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 that makes that's completely out of my control. He wasn't just about hearing any of that. All can relate that just doesn't believe the rates. So we just went back and forth. And he basically just says, I came to this conclusion because of where it's at geographically, the clientele that you have, and the making of your sheet pillow count, which was, I found intriguing to bring into the conversation. Now, I said by experience before, so obviously, if you've been in the hospitality this long, you can deal with a lot of irate guests, and you can start breaking down the problems to the point in which you got to learn how to solve it eventually. So I just said, how are we going to solve this? I'm really not willing to budge on rate because I didn't book this hotel.
Yep.
You did. And the assumption that you get the rate down. He goes, well, if you don't get me this, I will absolutely lose my faith in Hilton. And so I was like, okay, faith in the brand, got to hold it. So how can I rekindle? So I said, I'll do this. I will take your rate down to, and I asked him, what was the rate again? He actually upped it. He went from 99 to 110, which I thought was pretty good.
Really?
Governing
Nice.
that.
That's $11.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I said, if you're willing to sign 100 rooms whole year, that rate, I'll drop it down. Then he goes, you know what? No. I am just going to have your... And then he just starts going off the rails about everything he wants to take from me, including my profession, my job,
of course.
everything else. Fire,
of course.
brimstone, everything come from the heavens. And then I calmly asked him, I said, I believe our relationship is no longer salvageable.
Get
And unfortunately enough, it didn't end fun. He left. He did call back, and he spoke to a person that said that they would lower the rate. He couldn't give names. He couldn't give names. That's the thing. No one ever writes down the names. It's important in this industry. But he did try that with the front desk, and they didn't believe it, so I got the call again. And then he did. Do you know what he dove into?
What?
He goes,
What?
I spoke to someone at your hotel.
Really?
Very mean gentleman. And you know what? At this point, I'm like, did he not remember my title? And I'm like, who'd you speak to? He's like, a plump gentleman. I was like, oof. And so at this time, I'm
plump gentleman.
at this point, I'm bought in. I'm in it. We're in it to win it right now. So I was like, I look directly into the phone, like I'm talking to him. And I go, we have exactly 4 plump gentlemen that works at the desk. Sir, I want to make sure that we get to the bottom of this. Could you please explain? And because he did not remember my title, having the conversation with me, and know that we weren't going to change the rate, I did say, do you remember how plump he was? I consider it.
You did not.
The key to good customer service. The key to good customer service is always be straightforward and have a straight face, and just compel it without comedy. And do you know what? To my demise, I know we're in the era of being respectful out of people's body position. He did actually remember how plump it was, which is no. It was a big plump.
What were his words exactly?
His words exactly were, he goes, this gentleman was large. I would have to say a 52 double-breasted suit with a 48 waist.
That's specific.
Wow,
Yeah.
dimensions.
I was not expecting that. Curveball time. Curveball time. Had to bring up the old jcpenney.com thing and look up suit size, how big this gentleman was. And he goes, he did say, as a benefit to me personally, because I didn't know he was talking to me. He just spoke to me about 15 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
I did say, I think I know the person you're talking about. He didn't lower your rate, did he? He goes, I thought he was going to lower the rate. He's like, I spoke to him and he said he was going to lower the rate.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I was like, let's go over this size again, because I don't think we're talking about the same person. So what time was it? He goes, it probably was about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Oh.
15, 20 minutes ago. And I go, well, I believe you spoke to that person, so hold on. Now I want to make sure that the guest feels heard. On a second time, of course. So I actually put him on hold.
Of course.
And let
So
him wait.
that time, I know this conversation is going to be long, so I didn't take my time with many things, but I did put him on hold for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, if he's been on hold, that's pretty much the time.
Oh my God.
So 5 or 10 minutes go by. I went get coffee, talked to the front desk. I may or may not have made myself whatever's left of the breakfast because I think it was closing. And then I went and sat back down. I think he was pretty good about actually staying on hold. So it was pretty good. And then
Oh my God.
answer the phone, deep breath. I go, I think I found the plump person you're speaking to. I think there was a miscommunication, is that he might have said he was going to lower the rate, but he did say he had to check with management. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to change out that rate. And that's what he said. Well, I'm no longer going to stay at your hotel, and that guy has horrible customer service. He's very fat. That's when I'm like, you know what? I was like, sir, we don't fat shame here. I don't want to wind up on any type of news channels or anything like that. So unfortunately enough, because of that, I was willing at one time to maybe compromise a rate, to maybe compromise something. I can understand where communication breakdown happens like that. But once you start just literally injecting yourself into someone's body composition they may or may not be able to handle, that's where I have to draw the line.
Oh my God.
And he's like, look it, I really am sorry. He goes, I'll just pay the rate. Just forget we had this conversation.
Oh my God.
Dead done. Got to keep my rate.
Oh my God. Do you guys record calls?
A-hole of the week.
I would frame that call.
Oh, God, that was wonderful.
The fact that he went with plump really kind of hit home. I was like, wow.
How could you like not
I've
laugh?
been hitting the gym. Like I feel like this is wow. This is an eye opener for me. This is it.
Oh my God.
I'm not hitting it hard enough, because like obviously if we spoke to a plump gentleman, there's front desk. And I did not tell him that our whole front desk is all women. So I knew he was talking about me.
Oh my God.
Unless he was dealing with the guy who works in laundry.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, just me.
That's so funny.
I know.
You're going to
I
hit in the gym
know.
after this. Plump.
I know.
Keep doing it. I think if somebody called me plump, I would probably cry laughing. Like, who uses that word?
So I'm pretty sure we all can relate.
What is he,
We
a
always had that guess. Peach. Plump. The fact that the
fruit.
gentleman knew my suit size and my waist size down to the T. I mean, literally, the only place I knew to look up was jcpenney.com to look up suit size. I was like, wow, how big is that? Like, what's a 52 double breast? I was like, woo.
Oh my gosh. That's insane.
I understand the waist size, but the suit's jacket size, I was like, that throws me off. I was like, I know I got shoulders, but whew. But the weird thing is, he didn't say about my beard or bald head. Who has that in hospitality?
But he's like staring at your waist to guess the size.
Perfect. Spot
That's
on.
creepy. That is so creepy.
Time will only tell, but I don't think he's going to come back.
Oh, bummer.
I could have bought him with the rate. I thought I had him with the 100 rooms, want to buy in, want to get the sale. Wasn't having it.
Nah,
Oh
he'll
my
be back.
gosh.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Looking for that plump gentleman.
I'm sure we all could relate about the person that says like, hey, I'm checking in. It's me. My last 5 stays was horrible.
But I'm back for
You're
more.
like, expectations high.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's like when we were talking about Mr. E that one episode.
God. Do you
Yeah.
remember that guy, the chain smoker in that one realm?
Ooh, that's a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah. We talked about that. We just destroyed the room.
Where the,
But
where
always
the
the
walls
complaints.
the walls are painted white, but they're yellow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gross. So actually, because people like to stink up a hotel room, I actually worked really well to get rid of that. It was actually when I worked at another property, and it's weird that I hear to get rid of smell. You don't have to change the carpets. Don't change out any air filters. You simply just buy natural scented oils and put 3 drops in a 1-gallon paint bucket and paint the walls.
Huh.
Never have a smell again.
You know what we have done? The little urinal cakes. You know those little things?
Yeah.
Put those in the air vents.
Oh.
Works really well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try that painting one. So yeah, if you look up into your air vents and see these little things. Yeah, that comes from a urinal.
So I know we're having a
Urinal
conversation.
cakes.
I know we're having our conversation here, but I do have a story to tell you guys. And I
Oh,
think
I'm excited.
This one's really good. It was, we were discussing prior to is the, it's kind of dark, but it is Halloween. Thought the death inside a hotel, but this is different because this was my first death inside a hotel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. First ones are always. This one was a journey. Okay.
Okay.
From start to finish. Okay. So come in here. Front desk tells me that they haven't seen our regular for quite some time. So we're going to do a room check and knock at the door. No answer. Knock at the door. Answer. Come downstairs. Call. And I'm like, this could be it. Could be over death. I prided myself because this industry is common to them. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Up the door. Jem was really old. Lived inside the hotel. So he was lying there. You didn't have any clothes on. No one wants to pass away. Fortunately enough. Coming like that. So here's where it goes weird. So let's first start with the call. Call to 911. 911's like, can you resuscitate? So what do? Put yourself in that situation, reality-wise. You got a person here that don't know if it's dead or not, but he's dead. So I took it upon myself like maybe I can resuscitate. No air, no nothing, just laying there in the bed. Didn't respond. No, couldn't hear the ambulances just yet. So I go up there and I'm like, look at this body, and I'm like, no, can't do that. The girl on 911's like, you have to, sir.
Oh my God.
I was like, what? I gotta do what? Like, you could save this person. I'm like, well, that's a lot to put on me right now. It's very emotional. Like,
I don't remember how the song goes.
and anybody that knows me, I'm very, very alive with it. Like, I'm very emotional. Obviously, this is my first person that passed away. He's very, very passed away at this moment in time.
Oh,
but like
gosh.
I don't know, the passed away eyes didn't close, and they're all gray in there, all gray.
Oh.
So like, you want to stick your lips on that one? And so I told her, I was like, you know what? There's a lot that can go on here. Who knows if he died in natural cause? She's like, is there probable cause? I'm like, I don't know.
This isn't my job.
I haven't absorbed the. This is all the span of like 5 minutes, obviously, because I'm thinking about all I'm doing is trying to prevent myself from putting my lips on his. So finally, I hang up. The police get there. They determine it was natural causes. No foul. Coroner's office puts a sticker on the door. And then so the family arrives. Now, he's been living inside my hotel for probably about 13 years.
What?
13 years living inside it. He always hated his family. I can understand why, because here it goes. So his room is stacked up with 13 years of living. Decorated veteran.
And this is a hotel.
Hotel. Decorated veteran. So
It's extended stay property.
Yes. Yep. So family shows up, and they're like, I'm the brother. I'm like, oh, that's good. Did you get a letter from the coroner's office because they asked for it? He's like, I did. He hands it to me. So he gives it to me, and read over it. Everything looks kosher and everything. And then he sends in 2 people letter with him to go inside the room, and they basically just rip the room apart.
Wait, rewind. Why does he need a letter? What's that for?
So when you pass away outside the room, the coroners close it off, and the only person allowed to it is the next of kin. So that was his brother that was allowed into the room.
Oh.
His brother allowed in just basically looking to get money from the room and see what was available in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is where it begins. So brother comes down and he's like, look, stuff's all junk. Just throw it away. Nothing in there that makes any money. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your brother. So those that know me, I'm a very honest man. At least I try being. So we're going through the room and we find this box of all these diamond rings.
Whoa.
Some are military, decorative. Some are others. Open up the box. I'm like, oh, close it. The person who was with me was the engineer, and he's like, what do we do with this? I'm like, I don't know. They told us to trash all this. He's like, you can't throw these. This is real diamond stuff. Real deal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Out of all that's there, literally, it was probably, just give you an instance. The room is maybe 400 square feet, studio apartment. It probably was about 4.5 feet high of just pure clothes.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he smoked so much so the walls were yellow. They used to be white.
Oof.
So, but good gentleman. So call up the brother.
Oh, you're a nice person.
Yeah, call up the brother. We found some rings. Looks to be maybe a family heirloom. He's like, you know what? Thank you for calling me. I was like, okay, that's good. He's like, why don't you come to the funeral and drop it off?
He's not even going to come get it.
Never known the gentleman. I'm now going to a funeral. I was like, sir, is there anywhere else so we could drop this plastic off maybe prior to? Or he's like, actually, I want to do it right after the service. You're free to come. I'm like, any other? He's like, or you could just throw them out. I was like, I really think you should have these. It looks like it's got some names. He's like I said, Do it right after the funeral. Like, dark area.
Oh my gosh.
So I get dressed up in my daily regular clothes, tie, suit, that I wear to work. So I go there, and lo and behold, sit down. This guy goes, well, now that everybody's here, we can start the service. I'm like, oh. He's like,
oh my God.
Let's all talk about our memories about him. Every person will be given 5 minutes to speak about the person.
Including you?
Including me.
What the heck?
Yeah.
This is real.
This is real.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I came down to mine, and I'm like, maybe I'll talk about that he liked like muffins in the morning. Like, what am I gonna? I was going through mine because I don't know this person at all. I know he stayed there, but
he paid his bill.
he lived there for
time.
13 years, but I only worked there for about a year and a half. So I didn't know him very well, and he kept to himself. I just know that he always hated his family, and here I'm sitting at his funeral with his family.
Oh my God.
And so I happened to sit down to the only open seat in the place, which was there was 13 seats about hearing about this gentleman's life. The person next to me was his unknown lover.
Oh.
Very dark history with that one. Yeah.
Spicy.
So she was crying the whole time, and I kept on comforting her, and she kept on asking me, she's like, how do you know him? I'm like, I don't.
I'm here to drop off. I'm here to drop off the lost and found.
And it was weird because every time I said that, she's like, that's so sweet. I'm like, I don't know whether you're hearing me correct, lady. I just said I don't know the guy. I'm just here to give some medals or some whatever, jewelry and awards, because there were some decorated medals in there. And then also,
oh my God.
So I stand up, and then his brother stands up as well at the same moment in time. He's like, look, guys, I want everybody to pay attention to this. This gentleman here knew my brother the last year of his life and was here to offer some insight about what his life was like, and talk about what he liked, what he didn't like, just perfectly explain his day-to-day operations, and really kind of keyed us into his thoughts and how he liked to live his life.
He just threw you under that bus.
100%. So not only do I not feel comfortable, I know nobody at this wedding. I've been sitting next to a woman who's crying nonstop, and everybody hates her because I guess it's a long-lost lover who he rekindled or he dated after his original wife passed away. Could you imagine being thrown to this? Guys, this is our industry. I'm just here to do a job.
Oh my God.
Because I got a good heart. I'm here to give a box away to medals who have been trying to give this away. So here I am. This is real now.
Oh my God. At this point, you just come up with a crazy story about him like wrestling a bear or some shit.
Everybody's dead silent now, staring at me.
Oh.
So honestly, I've been talking for a while now, and I'm kind of long in the tooth, or I do speak a lot. So I just kind of went on how he's a good man, how he's always cared for the abandoned cat that was at the hotel. He seemed to always feed it. He liked to really have his time in the morning time by smoking cigarettes, and he always spoke very kindly of his family.
Which was not true, right?
That's when his brother stood up and goes, we know that to be bullshit. And then sat down. Apologize to be swearing, but that's exactly what he said. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, that concludes my time here. So I sit down, and of course, the brother's son speaks up and goes, that's all you're going to say about him? I'm like, what? That's when I'm like, you know what? That's all I kindly wanted to share. I wasn't expecting to share anything.
Yeah.
I'm just here to make a delivery. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's got the cool stuff that we can get the whole money from. Then I'm friend number one to everybody. I have items that are worth money.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And so after thing's over, I walk up to him and I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, hey, don't you get the rings? So I was like, oh yeah, these are the heirlooms that was left. He's like, thank God. Thank you for the kind words and for bringing these. I mean, we'll get these over to the pawn shop as soon as we.
Oh.
Cut. Done.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first death. One of my only deaths. Only had
you-
2 in 23 years.
Wow.
What?
Can you believe that guy called me out during a speech that I was giving about a guy I don't know?
I can't believe you had to be there in the first place.
My gosh, I didn't really know what he was like. I didn't know what to wear. I was the only guy dressed up, by the way. Only guy dressed up. His brother, who's there, who loved him to death, was there in shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
I was about to ask if you were the only guy that
I was the
had
only guy dressed up.
sleeves.
Yeah, I was the only guy dressed up. And the woman that was just bawling on my shoulder. By the way, never seen her. Never seen her at the hotel. Never seen her. They were dating all the way through. I'm like, I didn't even want to ask, like, is this an online thing? Like, was this a virtual thing?
Oh my God.
Like, I didn't even think the guy had a computer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I figured that, like, it's been this long. I know we kind of come in our industry to have a person pass away inside a hotel. I thought it was kind of regular for me to have this type of experience for having to wait this long to actually have a death inside the hotel. So that was my first death inside the hotel.
Wow.
Consider yourself lucky.
Yeah. I get one of those every month. But I've never been asked to speak at a funeral, so
Could you imagine that?
nope. I can't even imagine what I'd say.
Could you imagine being called out by his brother?
I probably would have said
for
something
not
real.
knowing the truth.
Like,
So
you know
how-
what, sir?
So how did you know my brother? I charge his credit card every 7 days.
It always went through.
I
That's
basically-
so nuts.
I basically became good friends with the pallbearer people I could talk to, and not necessarily because they were all conjugating to talk to each other, and I did not want anything to do with that family. After dealing with the whole pawn thing, I was like, look, I can understand why he didn't like you guys so much. And I even gave you guys kind words.
Oh my gosh. That's
You
so
guys were
crazy.
dicks to me.
That's when you should have like slipped a couple of rings out of the box before you gave it to him.
I know.
Everything was in there. Oh my gosh.
They're so
There was
nice.
so much clothes we gave to Goodwill. Like, oh my gosh. You know what? How to make the light of this one, I did like the fact that my engineer did say, he goes, as we were cleaning stuff, he goes, it's so funny that like everything you treasure in your life after you pass away, almost to another person that doesn't know you, becomes garbage. He goes, so learn to always admire what you want to and live your life to your fullest to what you think is treasures, because to another person after you pass could be nothing. So I always thought that was,
Wow.
come from a guy who can't fix any type of plumbing and drove my thing aside. It's pretty deep.
Well, it's an old saying. One man's trash is another man's treasures.
There you go.
One man's lost and found fun is another man's speech opportunity at a funeral.
Oh my God.
We don't, you know what, the hotel I'm at right now, we don't have too much lost and found. That's the thing, is that it's kind of
Wow.
weird that no one leaves too much stuff, because like the length of stay is like literally like less than it's like 1.2 or 1.3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not too many people bring stuff. They're in and out. BT business or business transit, business during the weekdays, and then just maybe sports teams for kids on the weekends. But very short stays. I think that's why we just don't get a whole lot lost and found.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that does get lost does get called upon, like usually like headphones or charger, stuff like that. But clothes and all that stuff, it's kind of the only hotel I ever worked at that doesn't have too much lost and found.
Mountains and mountains of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have a lot too. We get expensive stuff too.
Mike and I worked at an extended stay property, and average length of stay is 5 nights, 5.3,
Yeah.
something like that. Huge amounts of lost and found, because you could unpack. I mean, there was dressers and closets and all that kind of stuff, and people would leave so much behind. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Especially, you don't check all the dressers.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lost and found one. Lost and found story there.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah. This business guy stays with us Monday through Thursday. Very nice guy, actually. He checks in, checks out, normally just there on business, and leaves. So he leaves on Thursday. He never leaves anything behind. But we get a package, and dressed to his name.
Okay.
And doesn't really have anything else, but we give him a call, because we know him. He stays with us every single week, Monday through Friday. It's his name. We don't know anybody else in the arrivals. The name that even in our history, he can look like 10 days ahead.
Yeah.
Didn't find anything. We're like, it has to be him.
Yeah.
So I call him, and he's like, what? I got no package. He was kind of forceful, and sometimes when you're irritating him outside of general, he's not the best friend to deal with. He's just there for business and not really there for small talk.
Okay.
So he's like, I didn't get no package. He was like, I was like, I told him the address on it, confirmed his name. And he's like, well, if it's me, that's me. Open it up. What's in it?
That's a crime.
Yeah. Committed a crime. So we open it up. We're bought in. We open it up, and it's just about as dark as sex toys go.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you had to describe to him what it was that was in this package.
So he's already irritated, and I'm like, oh gosh, where does your mind go? You obviously don't know this guy, pretty straightforward guy, and you're about ready to tell us what's in this package. He's like, well, what's in there? He goes, I had some, and get this. He does that. He goes, I did have some birthday gifts sent there for my wife. He goes, but I thought I picked that up. So what's in there? Did I forget something? I'm like, it's like adult stuff. And he's like, adult stuff, like comics? I'm like, no, not like comics, sir, not like comics. I was like, kind of like the strap-on type of deal. He's like, what? Safety belts? I was like, no.
You are kidding me.
No.
He's
I was
making
like,
you
no.
spell it out.
Yeah, so I do. I was like, it's like sex toys. He's like, oh, that ain't mine. 2 seconds later, I get a breast. Guy comes outside the office, and he's like, I think I had my package accidentally delivered here. Boom. So we found out who it was going to. He shows his ID, and he had a package accidentally delivered to our hotel. Those are his. And the funny thing is, he's like, you guys open it up. Was it a guest inside your hotel? He goes, did you tell him what was in the package? We did. He's like, oh boy. He goes, that had to be a fun conversation. I'll catch you guys later.
Please, it was cool about it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's wild.
Yeah, we didn't. The thing is with that hotel is we didn't get a whole lot of. It wasn't like some of the hotels that we worked at where you get a lot of packages. I mean, it was very, very far from between never get a package. I mean, the length of stay there was like 2 or 3 days. Wasn't, around the resort area. So it wasn't like elongated stay. We didn't get a whole lot of packages. So, and we didn't have a whole lot of BT business to where it was. It was in a leisure market. So, it was just kind of spontaneous for us to find out that one. We're just like, wow, that's crazy. That like, how did this wrong package get delivered? Be the guy who constantly stays was the only business traveler that we have. And it winds up being this. I was like, what are the odds?
Oh
but
my gosh.
Did leave for a huge joke for quite some time.
That's so funny. Do you remember when we had that, that airline that used to stay with us all the time? Were you there when we unpackaged one of the items because it wasn't claimed in a certain amount of days and it was a stripper pole?
No, I wasn't there for that.
The airline.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there for that.
So we didn't know it was the airline, but this package had been there over a month and the name wasn't something that was familiar to anyone and it didn't say the airline or anything. So after a certain amount of time, we opened it up because it was a long, narrow box. We open it. It's a full-on stripper pole. And then we were like, oh, that's weird. Not even a week later, one of the airlines came in and said, yeah, I had a package delivered, but it was under my sister's name. We're like, here you go, airline. Please don't install this in the room.
Yeah.
And they were a flight crew. How are they going to take that on a plane?
They get privileges.
I didn't know half of what. I mean, you guys were there. We had like tires in there. Tires.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
tires.
Like
remember
little
the
like
tires.
bog tire. Like there was ski equipment, golf clubs. I was like, this looks like a mini like Dick's Sporting Goods.
Well, it's because, shipping for any of that where they were going to was incredibly expensive.
Is that what it was? The shipping?
Yeah, so that's why they would order everything sent to that hotel. And then on their next layover, or if they had a friend that was on a layover, they would take the package back.
That's always what it was bad though. It never got to me is that we loved their packages and stored them right in the right in the crappiness of a parking garage.
Yeah. When it rains, it's done.
Yeah, well, that was on them for having, what was it, like 40 bikes in that storage cage?
So ridiculous.
Like those people, they just moved in. It wasn't layover. It was their entire garage.
Yeah. I do not. I thought it was unique to that hotel. The hotel I went to after that, pre-construction, we had an airline crew, and they had the same thing. They had a full cage and basically room in the garage, and I was like, I thought
It's part of the commitment.
that's insane.
And no, it's part of the contract. They have to have storage.
Wow. For all their bikes and stripper poles and tires.
I dealt with other airliner companies. Was at an airport property. We had Delta who stayed with us that didn't have. The only thing with that airliner was that they'd go so quick. They'd have sleep for maybe a day, like 8-9 hours out the door. And it was constant rotation, 24 hours. So I was moving out there, so we never got anything from them. Then we had an Amsterdam crew, and they would stay for 2 or 3 days. They had a huge layover. They were really big in electronics.
Okay.
Huge in electronics, especially Apple products.
Oh, interesting.
I think it was based out of Amsterdam.
KLM.
Yeah. I don't really have any airliner stories. I can't really remember. I know that like a lot of the airliners, they used to drink heavily, which falls into the stereotype. But I remember that for Halloween, we had like a whole pilot outfit left behind. So they really got a gack when I dressed as a pilot. Yeah, uniform. So when I dressed as a pilot, and all the stewards would be like, just go to a bar, you're made.
Okay, I have a question. I think you said that we had a previous conversation that you've had to deal with a lot of nudity.
Oh, a ton.
What is your favorite nude story?
So we had a couple stay inside the hotel. The woman believed in like nudity as like a way of life, like nudists. Like it exists inside the United States. But she didn't really quite grasp the concept of it, kind of walking around the hotel. So
wait.
What?
So she was walking around the hotel.
You go get ice,
Birthday
down to the
suit.
breakfast. Yeah, birthday suit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to capture it twice. I was like, and like, you want to be respectful, but at the point at which you're in decent exposure. So
Respectful. Lady, go get some clothes on.
All right.
yeah. So knock at the door and literally open it up, and she's smoking a cigarette inside the room. Yeah. This is the time where, it was only a year ago. So it's, that's kind of common in there. So I was like, it's time to check out. She's like, I'm going to come out naked. I was like, well,
the heck?
because the day before I told her she couldn't be naked inside the breakfast area.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah. And like she couldn't believe it. I stopped her coming out of the elevator. And so I should have asked her to leave then, but you want to maintain good guest service. You don't want to get up there. She went back up, she put on clothes. So I basically said, I was like, look, you cannot walk around naked. I got kids inside the hotel. This is a family-oriented hotel. You can't do it. She's like, fine. Closes the door. I come back half an hour because it was checkout time, like 12 o'clock. She opens up the door. She put on a white shirt, long, decided to walk out, scarf naked, is drinking a soda as she's leaving. Turns around, she goes, I believe in only nudity. And then pours the drink on her.
What?
Yep, pours the Pepsi on her.
On
So,
herself?
On herself.
Wet t-shirt contest
Wet
style?
t-shirt concept style.
Oh.
As she's walking out, I can't imagine, because it was about 106 degrees that day, her walking outside, hopping in her car with sticky Pepsi.
Was she on drugs?
No, normal person.
Should she have been on drugs?
She just,
Yeah.
but very,
Yeah.
very adamant about believing about the nature and culture of being nude, and that society's trying to hide it and trying to make it not a thing. And she is there to be advocating that it is. Her husband never said one word. That was just the most bizarre
Or
thing.
out of their minds?
It was the most bizarre thing to me.
Wow. I have so many follow-up questions. Like, number one, how did she function out in life if she thought she could be
I have no
nude all
clue.
the time?
Who would serve this person? Like at going to a gas station.
Or how does that person have a job? How are they paying for this room? I have so many questions.
Well, whatever the job is.
There is a certain line of work for that.
Well, there's a couple. There's a couple, but whatever that job is, it does not include a name tag that you stick on.
So it all like the weird thing is that she was so adamant about it, but her husband never was nude. It was just her. But what really got to me, I was like, do you really have to pour Pepsi on yourself?
That's so
Really?
gross.
Yeah, because it has to
That
be
is weird.
sticky. It wasn't like the can, like it was like a bottle, so like 20 ounce.
Do you know what's funny? I was picturing the can and that taking a while, and then you just sitting there watching
I did too.
as it's like slowly chugging out of the
Chugging
can.
out, yes.
No, the
Glugging.
Yep.
No,
Like,
literally.
clang,
It was like, and you know, like when you're pouring like direct down, like it's the foam and the pop bottles. So didn't look pretty. It looked just gross at that moment in time. But
it's
she
all
rode the
gross.
stairwell down. Can you imagine that smell in the stairwell or the elevator down? You know, to pick up this one, as I actually had a policeman come. So, you know, it was during the pandemic, which was police were kind of like not in the mood to kind of jump into anything, and also wonder about public safety about it doing, you know, like because there was a whole lot of movement going around that time too. So like to be arresting a person that's not in the right mind. The unfortunate part about just knocking at doors. But the weird thing is that every time I knock at a door, because I was just following them around, I was like, dude, we're in this to win it. And I was just trying to tell people not to answer their door, and people would still answer it. But
What the?
it would be literally one after the like knock at the door, be like, don't answer the door. This person's naked. He's just not in his right mind, and cops aren't coming. Oh, they open up the door. You'd hear from like, oh, hello, sir, to a sweet Lord.
Oh my God.
Or the little kid is like, oh, you got a wingy like me.
Oh my God.
So after that, the only weird conversation after that is after the police arrested him, they came right to me and I'm like freaking out. I was more mad at the police for not showing up. I understand.
Yeah.
He's just like, sir, did he play with himself? I was like, well, what?
Yes.
You know, he didn't. He didn't.
You
So I was
say
honest, and he's like,
yes.
No.
There might be a gun in there too.
and that's like I said, he goes, because there's different levels about how you can treat nudity. He goes, he wasn't using it as, he wasn't weaponizing, I think he said, in a sexual way. So there's nothing we can do.
Oh my God.
Can you believe that? And I was like,
Yeah, I can.
This guy just created me all sorts of hack walking around this hotel. I mean, I'm pretty sure he scarred 3 kids for life.
Well, that's when you just tell the cops to take them for criminal trespass.
That's what I
So I have a tip for you guys. If you're ever in this kind of circumstance again, what works?
Taser,
No, because that's assault.
bear spray.
No. So this actually, it's not service related, but during the pandemic, one of our next door neighbors apparently just like lost it and was on all kinds of crazy drugs. And he would scream at all odd ends of the night. He would throw his pots and pans. It slammed into our apartment. We would call the police. The police would say there's nothing that they could do because he's in his residence. And I'm like, but he's throwing pots and pans at ours. And they're like, well, it's technically not your property. It's the apartment's property. If they want to press charges. So there's nothing they could do. We called the police every other night. They could never do anything. So my husband found a way to make it stop. Time he came out on the patio and started going nuts. My husband went to the back patio, turned on the hose with the thing, and would spray him until he went back inside and calmed down.
Bad dog.
Yeah, like a cat. Just like, so when the police don't come, just get out the hose or a squirt bottle and continually squirt them until they leave. Because guess what? Crazy people don't like to get wet, apparently.
Immediately goes through my mind of how to weaponize this. Engineer, get me the 450-foot hose. It's happening now.
Exactly. Hose it down.
Hey, nude person.
You call the police, be like, okay, you're not coming. The hose is going to stay on until you come.
And the
Yeah.
water is cold.
Yes.
we had to put an end to it, but I had actually a landscaping crew who was so mad at the homeless sleeping outside. You know what he used to do to get them out? He would turn on those sprinklers.
Yep. See, water.
I didn't know, like, and Dino was kind of, I said, like, it didn't like hurt him, but that day I was like, well, what's going on? He's like, the homeless are going to scatter. I was like, why? Obviously, there's a lot of questions that come with that little statement. And sure enough, you see like 4 or 5 people like running. I was like, well, what's going on? So I run down there, and I walk down there, and the landscaper's just cracking. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, we get him up by the sprinkler, sir. I was like, why? He's so dehumanizing. He's like, they mess up the grass.
Oh, that's his job. It's his little grass.
He was so content on the grass.
All right. This is funny.
You're going to cut it.
No. This is funny, but that was how I kept homeless out of the hotel that I was at by the park.
Was it?
Yeah. So from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m., every 2 hours, the sprinklers would come on for 3 minutes.
See? Water.
And
It's a great weapon.
It would just get everything wet, and they just stayed away.
Smart.
And it was one of those things where it became a deterrent. It wasn't a mean thing to do to them to get them up. Unfortunately, some of them would fight back, and they would try and cap them or break them off or whatever. But that was our humanizing way of just kind of eliminating the fact that this is a dark place for you to do whatever you wanted to do. And unfortunately, where we did this, it was entirely because they were doing drugs. So I have video of a guy smoking crack in this little nook. It's like 45 seconds long.
How do you know if it's crack?
Because it was crack. It even says I'm smoking crack. Why are you bothering me? I'm smoking my crack. You know,
okay.
It's like, yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Man, homeless.
Sprinklers will be on in 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
It's like sometimes I'm just like oblivious to how I talk to a guest, which is usually pretty calm. But dealing with homeless sometimes is brutal because you try just being the most sincere because you don't know if you can wind up on TV or not. But I remember when like a homeless guy who was naked outside with another naked girl, and they're sitting there smoking drugs there, and he's like, "Why do we got to leave?" I was like, well, first of all, you guys have no clothes on. Okay? You guys got to get clothes on. You guys can't be around private property. And he goes, there's nothing wrong with this. This isn't your property. I'm like, well, it is. Eventually he left, but it's just weird about, I mean, you're trying to be.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, you're trying, because it can go which way. Because obviously you're dealing with a person who's not in the best of means.
Yeah.
And so here we are. We have no general training of how to handle this. And police officer, you trained to deal with, homeless that are living out here. But hospitality folks, just, that's why, like, how do you approach it? I try approaching it just the best possible way you can. But some of the stuff that we just deal with is just absolutely brutal. Like I said, they're naked, just doing drugs, just chilling there. And you got to somehow get them off your property. Dad, I love where I'm coming. I love this place. Oh, look, there's naked homeless doing drugs.
I mean, like,
Yes.
like for us, our problem is that we are trained to be hospitable. We're trained to say yes. We're trained to say, what can I do to make this better? Or how can I help you? Or whatever. Like when the homeless are dealing with the police are absolutely not that way.
No.
Get up or you're going to jail.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I would try to approach people compassionately. Hey, I know you are in a tough place, but I can't have you here, kind of a thing.
So I remember the last property I worked out with Bill, he was always like my backup when I would be all nice and try to, help him be accommodating. And then when there was difficult situations, I'd call Bill up and he's like, let's do this. And this one time, let's go. I've had a rough day. Give me someone to take it out on. So I go into, remember there was like the business center was like this little nook. I'm walking by and there's a guy that's obviously not a guest and he's in the business center. And I like kind of do a double take. And then I ask him, hi, sir, is there anything I can help you with? No, go away. And I was like, okay. And I go back. I'm like, Bill. And we go in there and the two of us go in and I'm like, hi, are you a guest here? And Bill's like, you need to leave. Good cop, bad cop.
No, that was good cop and you caught me at the wrong time, cop.
That hotel is just a bad location. Like you could sneak right into the business center pretty easily. It wasn't really, I don't think there's doors on it. It was very difficult. And then also it wasn't necessarily a huge homeless spot, but there was a lot of homeless that matriculated outside, and we had through the water. It was a very beautiful back area of the hotel, but that used to matriculate like homeless back there. And like we had, I mean, if we had an event there, we didn't clean up all the way. You had sofas back sitting there. We had access. It was all glass doors normally, or sometimes the banquet people would leave the doors propped open, or doors jarred away. Brutal. You don't know who's coming through your remember us like looking through security cameras. You're like, what is going on? Because there was no alarm back over there. It was pretty much that outside door that gets you out to the water was a stairwell that people would naturally just leave outside. So sometimes they would just leave outside there and like there'd be homeless just waiting like, oh, it's my
Was it one of you found a homeless guy at that property under the stairs in like a trash bag or something?
Yeah.
That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were telling me about that. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
That was the guy that had the suit and everything, right?
Yes.
So he was homeless, but did not want to appear to be homeless. And he would dress in a suit every day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's why you always got to identify maybe a homeless person by shoes or nails.
So wild. There was a lot of fun stories from that property. You know, I still have, occasionally it pops up as like a memory on my phone and it's of you wading into water. The ceiling is pouring down and you're in a suit and you're
I'm sure it happened
during one of the many pipe bursts. And I remember walking in and seeing you in the water and trying to vacuum it up as it's all coming down. And I think at one point you had an umbrella and I just I gave it to you or something. Oh, so funny.
Remember the kids were playing with this glass everywhere. So we had fire pits inside the pool area. At least
remember
we did.
the little glass rocks.
And no glass was out there. And so they decided to throw glass around us and was cutting their feet everywhere. I was like, how are we going to vacuum up this? That outside pool area was gigantic. And they just were throwing that glass from that rock all over the place.
Oh my God.
I was like, what? That's when we had, that was the previous general manager before you had it. Marty.
Yes.
Yeah, Marty. You couldn't pull the eyes of Marty. He has a 5-diamond resort hotel from New York, man. That guy knew his stuff. How he wound up with that company, I'm not quite sure, but he didn't stay long. He went to a resort hotel that was very nice. He went to Eagles Head or something like that. Very beautiful resort in Vermont.
Yeah, I follow him on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of what else happened at that property that was just crazy.
Everything?
Do you remember the one time the engineer shut off the whole water to the building and then cap it and lock out, tag out it? Yeah. I was like, what? Why would you shut off the water? We had to run trouble employing him. Like, he literally shut off the water to the building and then lock out, tagged out it. We had to get a hold of him, which wasn't answering his phone about why it's locked up and we're going to undo it.
Wow, that's wild.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. That was, it probably was just for a morning because we came in and obviously no one had water. And, like, he was
That happened multiple times at that place.
It also had, that property had buried diesel containers inside the ground that were leaking.
What?
Yeah.
Out at the loading dock.
Yeah, they were bleeding into the ground and kind of like EPA situation. They sealed it off, but yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Was that why the ground exploded?
No, that was a broken pipe.
Oh.
But yeah, they were leaking inside there. I was like, what? Like
Yeah,
when the county told me that, I'm like, okay, well that's new. It'd be good, right? You know, it's probably killing ants. He's like, well, it probably could explode. I'm like, oh, and that too.
What the heck?
Yeah. And the weird thing is, the guys, even like the EPA team was like, how long has this been leaking? I'm like, do you think I'm hiding documents that I know that answer that I'm not telling you? Is this going down right now?
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Did they ever get the shuttle moving, that hotel?
No.
That was way before its time.
Oh my God. They paid someone to haul that off.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That was like a brand new shuttle, all battery ridden. No one never used it.
Yeah, but it was the drive batteries were shot and it was out of warranty. So the cost to get the drive batteries replaced was too much.
That's an all-out loss.
The engineer's like $500 just to be able to haul it away.
Yeah, they paid somebody to get rid of it.
Okay, could it be worth any money? I mean, you take the batteries out. I mean, it probably could. Steering wheel.
If you got it for free, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, God, I forgot about that. What a mess. All right, what's the craziest thing you've seen at your current property?
How about this one? Earlier this year, we became pet friendly.
I
The
hate
franchise
that.
company became pet friendly. You know, and our hotel wasn't used to dealing with it. Scores dropped, heavens fallen, stuff like that. She's like, I lost my pet. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, where'd you lose it? Was it on a collar? She's like, no, it's a tarantula.
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
In the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd quit my job.
She's like, I was sleeping and he crawled out of the cage and I'm like, you gotta be kidding. She's like, it won't bite you. It's harmless. She's like, I don't think it attacked anybody. I'm like, well, I'm sure it doesn't attack you, its owner. But us finding it.
We don't have the same bond.
I'll send you a bill for the exterminator.
So if you've seen a whole bunch of housekeepers start doing the oh holy sign, like, oh Lord, like, hey guys, we're just on the hunt for creepy crawly. The spider measures probably close to 7.5 inches from. So yeah, pretty much like a salad plate. Yeah, 7.5 inches. It was pretty big. We actually found it in the laundry room on the floor that it was on, but it took a long time. We're searching all over for it. We have brown and yellow carpeting. It's actually brown and yellow is the color on it. But yeah,
I would quit. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
my
not
God.
a fan. Just not a fan.
That's wild.
I think this is actually a good place to end that. It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate
much
you
fun.
joining us. I love your stories.
Yeah.
Miss working with you. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you were able to join us.
Me
Yeah.
too. And I literally don't know the last time I've laughed that hard. I literally cried. I'm pretty sure my makeup is still down my face.
That was a good giggle.
Well, you're going to have to come back because
Yeah.
this is fun.
Yeah, next time we'll be on. Yeah, I got plenty of other stories, guys. We can go inside.
Well, to our listeners out there, if you heard some of these stories, maybe they inspired a memory. Did you know you can write to us?
Yes, you can email us at talesfromtheserviceindustry@gmail.com.
And we will be very excited to share them on the air. So send over some of your fun, scary, gross, and traumatizing stories.
Yeah, the grosser the better. And if you know anybody in the service industry that might enjoy this podcast, we encourage you to please send it along. We've got some new listeners that we saw that popped up in some very strange places.
Yeah.
Africa was one of them. I'm sorry, I
Love
don't
it.
remember the country off the top of my head. A couple from Germany. We've got a few more Canadian listeners that have joined the show. So, thank you for sharing the podcast. We appreciate the growth. It's great to see. And we will be back in 2 weeks with another episode. So thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.